Hey, this is Gerd Handel, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Hello and welcome to the Inner Light Project. My name is Gerd Handel and today I want to talk to you about self-growth and spirituality. Now this guest, she is amazing at the work that she does. She is the founder of a podcast called Thinking Deepa, which focuses on spirituality, self-growth and personal evolution. She personally has 25 years of experience in sports, media and hospitality. Deepa Parekh is the founder of My Elemental, a brand that assists individuals on their self-growth journey, which empowers them to harness their untapped potential. She is also a marketer and brand specialist expert. Deepa, I'm so grateful to have you on the show and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Excited.
Oh, bless you. It's nice to speak to another Northerner.
Although you don't sound Northern, so let's just put that out there.
I'd blame it on the accent. Yeah, what can I say? I would love to go back into your journey of what your life was like before you kind of went on this spiritual path.
So spirituality has always been in my life because I was brought up Hindu and my parents came from India. And so they were that batch of generation that were very cautious of the fact that we may lose our culture and roots and tradition. So they really tried to keep as much of the lineage going, all the ancestral knowledge that we had, the prayers, the rituals, the beliefs, all of that, the values, the morals that came from that generation. They were cautious of losing it. So spirituality has always been there for me. The journey for me has been trying to understand what essentially was what I thought was the definition of spirituality to what it's now become, and that's the bit really, because that journey was quite transformational in the sense of I always knew that spirituality was important in my life, but how was I going to use that for my everyday and for my growth? And that's where the journey started. So going from traditionally believing in what I think is a God, and almost focusing on a higher being that is always going to be there to help me, to kind of twisting it on its head to saying, well, actually, it's all within me. I have to find the belief within myself that I can do this and it's me that makes the change, instead of kind of purporting blame to another entity or someone or something or a belief. It was almost like, let's actually look at who I am as a person. What do I actually believe in? Do I believe in myself? Like, why do I need an external thing to help me get to where I need to be? I've got to believe that I can do this myself and I will do it. So yeah, that's kind of, how it all started.
It's interesting because I relate with what you're saying, because I grew up, I'm Sikh, so I grew up in that whole kind of culture as well. Like, you go to the temple, you don't always know what they're talking about, but but you sit there, you meditate, and you just take it all in, but still not understanding why we're doing what we're doing. And It's funny, you're right. Like, we are spiritual growing up. However, this other spiritual, I guess we call this spiritual awakening, I would call it, I guess, is when I think we both kind of woke up and were like, whoa, we actually can have other beliefs and we can have other ways of connecting with higher power.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and for it to be really easy as well, like you said, going to temples, I still do all those things because there's a reason for that consecrated space to make you feel a certain type of way. The energy is different there. You still need the guidance from your priests. So I don't discount any of that stuff. I think it's still important. And all of that has been a part of my journey for me to get to where I am. But it's just brought clarity. And I think our generation has to find a way that it makes sense to us. My grandparents did it how it made sense to them, and they didn't question anything. They didn't actually wonder why we did things a certain type of way. My parents took on what they had been taught by my grandparents, and my grandparents lived with me, and I was so fortunate for that, because the values and the tradition that I learned through them, was, I mean, I can never place a value on that. But I was still always left asking why. Why do we do this way? Why do we not sleep with our head in the north? Why do and
Yeah.
so much of it makes sense, and you're laughing because
Yeah. I
what I'm
do.
talking about. You know, certain rituals with our hair, certain rituals with
Yeah.
when we get married. So, and all these, they're
Mm.
so beautiful, girls. There's such significance behind everything that our cultures have brought to the table, and we've questioned it. Most of us have left it. Most of us don't believe in it. And it's like, let's just try and understand it from a more pragmatic perspective. How is it relevant to our day to day, and how can we now use it to become the best versions of ourselves? Because that used to happen tens of thousands of years before us. They just
Mm.
knew it better. And it's just what resonates with you, isn't it? There's no right or wrong way around any of this. It's just what resonates, and that's what we take on.
100%. I'm the same. Like, I still go to the temple now. It's
Mm.
like I have the beliefs in other areas as well, but I still have this connection with source as well. But it's all connected. It's all linked, to be honest. And it does something. I don't know how to explain it. It's a sense of peace. And I know for me, my shift was in 2012 when I actually collapsed in an office 3 times. And the third time I wasn't breathing. And I was like, I'm done with this kind of feeling and, not feeling good enough about myself. And then I walked away from a career in journalism to go deep within. When was the turning point for you?
It was, I wouldn't say there's been any one particular tipping point that has took me into a different space. And I feel quite fortunate for that. I think that, I think you're amazing that you've come out of that side, given the subterranean level that you must have been at. And I kind of apportion a lot of that to the support of, my friends and my family. But I think there have been challenges in my life from my own identity, in terms of where do I fit in. I had a very strong cultural family infrastructure, which was very different to the social structure, the educational system, being bullied at school. So what
Mm.
all of these things did was they made me question who I was, and made me almost feel, well, nothing makes you feel anything, but it was a time where I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know where I belonged, and that was my challenge for years. Because we're conditioned into believing a certain type of way, and
Yeah.
it goes to our childhood, and it goes to the education system, and it goes to society and our culture and what we're supposed to be like. And I just was never that person. I
Yeah.
tried, it just wasn't for me.
Especially as women as well, right? Like, we have so
Absolutely.
much pressure within our culture as well, but in society, and it's like, oh my God, give us a break.
And I didn't want to ever discount any of that, because I think all those things made me stronger. But yeah, being bullied at school probably was one of the biggest things that happened to me,
Mm.
because not just for the color of my skin, but just because they probably felt the energy that I didn't know where I fit in, and so that
Yeah.
I became a vulnerable victim in that situation. But and I was bullied really badly as well. It wasn't kind of just being called names. Crisps were thrown in my hair, and I used to get pushed around, and I used to and it's
Oh
funny
my
because now
God.
it's only now that I've even opened up to all of that to my parents. They never even knew that any of that stuff existed. So, it's been quite interesting. I also went through a divorce, which again, you'll know, is unheard of. And, people,
Yeah.
especially kind of my generation, we didn't divorce. We just stayed in our marriage, and unhappy
Mm.
or happy, we just stayed there, and that's what you saw, within your family structures. You saw aunties not being happy, or you saw
Yeah.
in-laws not being happy, but you still just that's what that's the labeling of what you're told is the right thing to do.
Mm.
Compromise is a big word in our culture, and
Yeah.
and you have to compromise, give and take. And I was like, no, it's give and take if it's equal. It's not give and take if it's all just take, 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 you know? And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where do you find those boundaries? So, and I know boundaries will be a big, a big thing in your existence as well, guys. But
Yeah.
I think I think those are I suppose they're kind of stepping stones
Mm.
to and then kind of working. I worked in the sports industry, very male dominated, no room for women, no respect
Yeah.
really for women. There was a little bit of that in media as well when I worked in that industry for a period of time. So I think
Yeah.
there's always been challenges, which only helps the growth, of the self. But at the time, they all led to, I've just got to find myself. It doesn't
Mm.
matter what industry I work in, it doesn't matter where I work, it doesn't matter what challenge is thrown. It's how well do I know myself? And I didn't feel like, through the common denominator for me through that whole time was, I just didn't know myself enough to have
Mm.
dealt with those situations. But again, that's a journey in itself, right?
Yeah. And I'm so proud of you for walking away or just letting go of something that no longer served you, because yes, within our culture, it's always like the woman must stay, the woman must, compromise. And it's like, well, no, there has to be some element on their side as well.
Yeah.
But also it's like, oh, Source doesn't want you to suffer. Like, why do they think that God wants you to suffer? Like, what the hell is wrong with them? Like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be happy and live in abundance and be happy and free, not depressed and sad. And that's just an emotion that we go through, but it's not supposed to be our long-term
No.
feeling. And so I just, yeah, I never understood, again, like you said, like how people just stayed, even the older generation. I'm like, if you're unhappy, and I've said this and I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
said it sometimes because I've got this kind of energy, and I'm sure you've got kind of, I'm feeling like you've got the same as well, like where people tell you everything. And so sometimes like the older aunties, like not even related, just like we call aunties to random strangers, by the
We
way.
do. We do.
Yeah. Would tell me what's wrong with their marriage at a wedding, and I'm like, great. And then I'd be like, why don't you divorce them? And then they'd be insulted, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. You're all of a sudden sat in a different category to them. What I think when you find your space, which you clearly have, and that's your path to enlightenment, you just want to share that with everyone, don't you? You feel
Yeah.
a sense of freedom and just like you said, you can't explain it, right? There isn't actually a word that describes how you feel when you get to that other side. And I think you just want to share that with people. And that's kind of what I do with my podcast, is that, sharing journeys with my listeners around the guests who have been through some of these incredible situations as well, is that you're trying to help people see that you're not alone. You're not the only person out there that is going through this, and you will get there. No matter how your journey goes, you will get there because lots of other people have. And all you've got to do is just be open to listening to what other people have been through to see that happens. And going back to your auntie comment, it's absolutely true. And I went through that stage as well, where I was trying to talk to friends of mine who were not happy. And I realized that it's not for everyone
Hmm.
to want to see the other side, uh,
Yes.
in the same way as it's not for everyone to want to stay. And I think it's the individual person's journey, and they've obviously still got more learning to do before they will hit that moment where they just say, actually, this is what I really want, because there's nobody more important than me in my life. So yeah, I can understand why you would think that, because that's what I used to think all the time. And in the end, I just decided, actually, this is my journey. I'm proud of me, which is the most important thing. I will always support anybody that's close to me that goes through anything similar, but equally I would not try to tell them to do anything either, because
Yeah.
it's got to be their decision, hasn't it? Like, for them to
Yeah.
see it through and for them to feel that elation at the end, it's got to be their journey.
100%. And that was me back years ago.
Yeah.
And like now I'm just like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you need right now? What does your soul say, rather than me giving answers? Because I think you're right. It's not our we're not here to tell people what to do. We're here to support people.
Oh,
However, you can only give that advice if they ask for the advice. And I think a lot of people just don't listen. They just want to just find a solution straight away. But even with myself, like I recently left a long-term relationship, and everyone was like, oh, like, whoa. And I was just like, you have to be happy. And there's not, we'll go into depth about it, but it made me realize that life's too short, and like the universe has a bigger plan for me and a bigger plan for them. And being together is not going to make us both happy. So we've got to go our both ways and just respect what the journey was. But a lot of people were like, oh, but kind of what you said. But I'm like, it's not your journey to tell me what to do. I have to discover it for myself.
yeah, I mean, it's nice that you care, and it's nice that you want to tell me what you think, but nothing's really going to change your mind, because that's come from within.
Yes.
That decision that you've made has come from, it's come from your sacral space, like, and you've known for a long time. You just needed to be certain, and you needed to just put everything into perspective to see that bigger picture. But and that's what it is, isn't it? It's always believing that only the best happens for you, like to never doubt that. And when you get to that space, it doesn't matter what's thrown at you, because you'll always know something better was supposed to happen, which is why this was happening.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I want to go back to something about your journey. Like, how were you introduced to my elemental? Is it elemental?
Yeah, my elemental. So, this is the thing, Ayurveda is such a big part of our life.
Yeah.
Generations before us lived through Ayurveda, right? So my grandparents absolutely lived by it. They ate seasonally. They ate their proteins at a certain time of the day. They had a probiotic with it, which was the yogurt. They had fermented pickle. All these things have always been there. And again, it goes back to that same thing that I said to you earlier. If I asked my grandma why, she couldn't tell me. And I'm a curious person by nature, and I absolutely needed to know the why for me to be able to adopt something that was going to happen. But I've always been connected to it. Like, naturally, I've always been connected to it. I've never wanted to see outside of it. So my elemental came about in COVID, actually. And the reason why I did it was because I wanted to try. So again, going back to that journey of my spirituality coming from Hinduism, which is, the whole Sanatan Dharma is the most beautiful way of life, because it encapsulates all beings. There's no religion in it whatsoever. It's just about you being as a human, like, and that's the core value of it. So for me, it was always, all those elements were always there. And coming out of COVID, I realized a lot of my friends really struggled with that time by themselves. Like, they really didn't understand what to do. So, and I used to laugh all the time and say, we all complain to the universe collectively that we didn't have time to do this, we didn't have time to do that. And the universe went, well, there you go. Here's a whole load of time. What are you going to do with it? And I said, so actually we were all blessed with something that we'd been asking for a very long time. So, and it was interesting when I actually connected with people through COVID, how they were all dealing with this change of pattern, on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of my friends that kind of said they were spiritual but didn't really understand what that meant were really struggling with it. And so, and they always used to ask me, well, can you tell me how you meditate? What is it that you do? How do you do it? And I said, look, it's years of inner work, as you know. So I said that it's hard for me to explain, but meditation is very simple. You just need to sit and just be with yourself. And that is all it is. Just be absolutely and truly by yourself in the space, and just allow whatever is to come into your head, into your mind, and just face it. People used to think I was crazy. So anyway, I decided that was never really going to happen, where people would just be able to do that, because I think there's a misconception around meditation. It's probably another podcast for another day, guys, because we could talk about it all night. But meditation is not about thinking of nothing. It's not about emptying your head and being in this space where you're thinking of nothing. It's not,
Yeah.
that doesn't resonate for people. We are, we're beings that have been given so much distraction in life that it's not possible. So I created what I felt was a tool, a daily tool that people could use where they would find a sense of focus, but everything was pointed at just positivity, right? Because we talk about manifestation and all these buzzwords now that are so cool to use, but essentially prayers is manifesting, right? Because if you were just grateful for everything that you had in your life, you're focusing on the positives that are in your life, so then you attract more positives and the abundance is already there. Like, you're not taking anything away from anybody by asking for abundance of wealth or good health or success or any of these things. So I based it on, so my elemental is called that because it's based on the elements within Ayurveda, which is earth, water, air, fire, ether. And they then relate to your star sign. So depending on what star sign you are, you will be either an earth, water, air, fire sign, which most people know.
Yeah.
And those earth, water, air, fire signs all have characteristics. And you would then have crystals that resonate to your sign. You will have essential oils that resonate to those signs. You will have colors that resonate to those signs. You'll have affirmations that resonate to those signs. So, because they're all based on the chakra system, right? So the five elements are based on the chakra system. So if you were, for instance, a water sign, so you could be a Pisces, you could be a Scorpio, you would then be all about your sacral chakra, because water is around your sacral chakra. Your sacral chakra is all about creativity. It's all about intuition. So the affirmations on the candle relate to your sign. So imagine now if you were a certain sign and you just want help with meditation, but you don't really know where to start and you're a newbie, you would buy this candle or you would gift it to a friend, and the candle has the affirmations on it. You now have a physical, visual, tangible tool that you will light. And there is an art of lighting the candle. In Ayurveda, there's actually a concept that when you stare at a candle and tears fall from your eyes, it's a sense of detox. So we were trying to create this experiential journey for an individual where they would now light the candle, they would read out the affirmations. As the candle burns, the essential oil, which is aromatherapy grade A. So it's all sustainable. It's all very environmentally friendly. So again, you're creating a sacred space for yourself, almost like an altar. And you would light that candle, and then you would read out the affirmations. You would do some breath work. There's instructions on there, basically. And you are going to have a sacred space that you will hold for yourself with you. And the experience of the senses all igniting. So the visual with the flame, the affirmations is what you're hearing, because you're hearing yourself say that you're powerful, that you're worthy, that you deserve this. If you're an earth sign, it'll be about being grounded. If you're an air sign, it's about feeling love, because it's your heart space. So all of these affirmations you're hearing, because you're hearing yourself. So it's your voice saying these things. And then the essential oil kicks in. So then you're smelling the essential oils that will be related to your sign. So they're not just random ones. They are absolutely, we've researched to what actually ignites and energizes that chakra space for you. So then you're smelling that smell, you're hearing the sounds, you're seeing the flame, and you're just breathing.
Wow. This is beautiful.
That's basically it. And then the crystals clearly do their own magic.
Yeah. I love crystals.
There you go. So obviously, if you're an earth sign, we've got tourmaline in there, we've got jasper in there, red jasper in there, because at the same time as you wanting to stay grounded and protected and rooted and centered, you also want to be able to fly, and you want to be able to feel like you can take the risk. So there's quite a juxtaposition of the collection of crystals that we placed on the candles for your experience. And obviously, once the candle is done and it's helped you on your journey, you can wash the glass out, it's recycled glass, and you can put an air plant in there and then place the crystals back onto it. So you're doing something, you're still keeping those affirmations there in front of you. They're just now in a plant form, and those affirmations read in front of a plant, and I'm sure you already know this, Gerd, they will help growth of the plant, because that's the energy that you're giving to the plant. So that's so and then I obviously want to develop that whole range into other things. So it's not just a candle, but there's a crystal collection, and it will move out into lots of other areas that people can use, so that it's a ritualistic process, but not in the religious context.
I absolutely love, love, love this. And oh my God, I'm totally buying this. And because there's something so magical having an affirmation linked to your sign and what you represent, because you're right, every sign is different and every sign needs something that links to themselves, versus work on your sacral chakra, work on your crown chakra. But actually, like what you're saying is that actually there's one chakra like for each, like earth, fire, air, water signs.
Yeah. And people don't realize that. And that's when people get really complicated. And the whole reason why I designed it was because I wanted to take the complexity out of it. I wanted to take the whole confusion out of it for people when they say, but what if I get the wrong crystal? If you don't know anything about crystals, you won't understand or be open to understanding that crystals can never do you any harm. They're a mineral source. We are a mineral source. Crystals will only call to you if you need them. Like that is the beauty of what nature and Mother Earth provides us. We're just not open to seeing it. And so that's why I did it, because I thought at least this way it takes that complication away for people. All they have to think about is an Earth. Are they what star sign are you? And
yeah.
And the minute you answer that question, you know what sign you are, in the sense of you're an earth, water, air, fire sign. Here's the thing though. This is the magical bit, guys. I went to a health and well-being event where I was asked to take the candles so that they could be there for people that wanted to buy them and whatever. And this happens all the time, even with my podcast guests, right? So there are 4 candles: earth, water, air, and fire. Ether we didn't do because it's a cleansing space. So actually it's not related to any of the horoscopes, which is why it'll be something that I'll do further down the line, rather than it'd be part of the 4 that we've got. But essentially what would happen is you would have all 4 candles in front of you, and try this on the website, goes on, you'll see what I mean. Okay. Just look at all 4 of the candles individually, and I promise you will be drawn to one of them. And here's the thing, and this I can't stress this enough to you, because it still makes me cry when I see it happen in front of my eyes. When people pick a candle, right, either it is their sign or it is something that they need in their life.
I hear you.
That's the beauty of it. When I did the range, I didn't even know that could happen.
Wow.
Right? I did it just with a pure intention of wanting to help people. And to be honest, it's not grown anywhere close to what I would like it to, because it's going to require some investment, but
it will happen.
Absolutely. But just the fact that my intention of wanting to help people was enough that we created what we did. For me, then actually seeing that unfold, where I was saying to people, okay, just look at the candles and just because they would say to me, which one should I get? And I would say, well, and initially I would be like, well, what star sign are you? And then I was like, actually, just look at the candles and see what you're drawn to, right? Because the smells are different, the looks are different, they're all different colors. The air sign is greens and blues, and it's got peacock aura on it. It's just beautiful. The earth ones are black and red because of the whole grounding concept around it. And then the sacral one, the water sign, is more like the pinks and the dark pinks for your sacral space, and red, and then you've got the fire sign, which is orange, and and it's tiger sign, it's citrine, and so you would just know, just from feeling the energies of what's drawing you. And the amount of times people were just in tears because when they read the affirmation,
Oh,
straight away they were like, oh my God. And I'll never forget this one particular lady, and I didn't know who she was, and she came to the actual to the stall to just have a look, and she was just nosying, really. She wasn't going to buy anything. She's not really into candles. And she looked at all of them, and then she was like, wow, she said, I really like them. I said, thank you, that means a lot to me. And she was like, no, she said, I'm really, I don't know why. She said, I keep looking at the air sign. And I said, all right, amazing. And I turned it around because the front side just says air sign and tells you what the star signs are, and then the back side is the actual affirmation. So I said, so I turned it around and I just said, oh, have a look at this. And I said, have a look at this. I said, what do you just read the affirmations. And she read out the affirmations and she just started crying. She'd just been through a massive breakup, and clearly the crystals had they'd taken effect for her in that space, and that's why she realized that she needed that candle, and she bought it.
wow.
So yeah, that's the story of my elemental.
That's amazing. And I 100% know what you're talking about. When I first kind of got into crystals, I was at Mind Body Spirit Wellbeing Festival in London,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I had gone to do like a speech for a friend at her like part of her show thing, and I walked past a crystal shop and I went, "Ooh, what's this?" And they look like really shiny little things. I was like, let me just touch them. And then the
Yeah.
guy was like, "That's for self-love." And I was like, "Yeah, right. That's for
Yeah.
this." And I'm like, "Yeah, right." But I still bought them, but I had no clue. And then over time, obviously, I felt the connection to the crystals, and I started going into like crystal shops, and I just trust my gut, like you said. And it would never lead me the wrong way. It always like the crystal I pick up was what I needed in that moment. And
Exactly.
I always said that to my clients now who work with me, because my work is to do with coaching, but I always incorporate crystals in there because I just know the energy and the connection. So whenever they say, "Goods, what do I need to buy?" And I'm like, "I want you to just go in and just trust your gut." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what to buy." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then they come
That's,
back and
yeah.
they're like, "This is the one I needed." I was like, "There we go."
This is what I'm saying, and it happens every single time. And I also trained in Reiki, so that
Wow.
gave me a whole new
Mm.
dimension to understanding energy healing, and how the crystal, because I did a crystal healing diploma as well. So it was all
Wow.
just so that I could try to better understand, at a deeper level, pardoning the pun of my own name, what the energy healing was all about, and how it can actually help people. And you see it time and time again, how the chakras actually relate to the different crystal energies and why they're necessary. And then being able to just to do that self-healing, but also to repurpose the crystals. So once they've done, because that people have said to me, oh, but I had this really beautiful crystal and I lost it. And I was like, that's because you don't need it anymore.
Yes,
They're like, what do you
100%.
mean? Like, how is that possible? And I said, trust me, it will be somewhere in your house, or you will have lost it because you don't ever need it ever again. And if it's still in your house and you find it randomly one day, it's because it needs to be back in your life. And we've
Mm.
lost that whole sense of there is possibility for this kind of magic to happen, because it's not really magic. This is the very nature of our existence, because we're all energies, and this is what happens. And people just need to understand that.
100%. I agree with you. It's all about trusting from within. I've got one more question for you.
Yes.
What are you most grateful for?
Oh wow, I am most grateful for being me,
Oh,
and my journey, and where I am. And obviously it's not over, so I'm grateful for all of my learnings. I'm grateful for all the people that are in it, that have been in it, that are still yet to come in it. Gratitude's a really big thing in my life, and I don't take that lightly, because I just came back from a Sadhguru conference yesterday, actually, which was unbelievable, in London.
wow.
And this is what he says, time is so precious. We have to understand that although we know there is no concept of time, we are still governed by time. Which I
Mm,
thought was like so interesting, that whole concept that we think that we're running out of time. Yes, we are running out of time, and we have to make the most of time, but then let's also do the things. Let's understand that there's a limitless possibility within us, but we can only do that if we keep on focusing on the most positive things that exist in our life, for there to be more of those things. So yeah, it's not any one thing. I think I'm grateful that I'm on this journey. I'm grateful that I am meeting amazing people like yourself. And all of those things are not a coincidence. You know, they're all helping on our journeys to self-growth. And yeah, and I'm grateful for all the things that I haven't yet seen or met or experienced.
And what shines your inner light?
What shines my inner light? That's a really good question.
Thank you.
You know what? It is gratitude. Gratitude shines my inner light, because I know that is the barometer for me. Whenever I have, and we're all human beings and we'll have days where things are not quite right for us. And I think if you can just stop, take stock, check in with yourself, and remember what you're grateful for, all of a sudden you're just recharging that inner light. And don't forget, my name means light. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, there you go. So
I have Deep in my name as well. Gerd's is my nickname, so Gerdeep is my full name. So yeah, I get called Deepa as well. So I understand.
From one light to another.
Yeah.
Let's continue shining bright.
There's no coincidence why we do what we do. You know, we're here to be the light for others and for ourselves. And I definitely believe that's within our name and what we were born here to do.
There you go. Yeah. Couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, Deepa, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And thank you for just surrendering and trusting from within that you are here to live life the way you are supposed to live it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
What an amazing episode with Deepa Parekh. It really is so important to really dive in deep and trust your own inner medicine, and to allow yourself to discover what you really need, whether that's your spirituality growth, your inner growth, or any growth in your life. Really trust what you need in that moment. Unfortunately, that's the end of this show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. Within you, there is a stillness and a sanctuary to which can retreat at any time and be yourself. That's a quote by Hermann Hesse. Take care, my sisters. Bye. For more information about the show or how to trust your inner light, visit my website at gerdshundle.com. Also, check out my program, Infinite Trust Method, which is all about helping you to transform trauma and learn to trust yourself so you can powerfully move forward in your life. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay lit.